Okay, so here we are in my second match today, and this one will be starring Floophead the Third in the Blue Infernal, and his opponent today will be the People's Champ in the Red Infernal, aka Dutchy. So if you do follow Dutchy's stream, if not, please head over there and check it out. He's got a great stream. He plays under a couple of different aliases recently while he's been practicing his Infernal, which has become his main, at least on the last patch, which makes sense. It was a good patch for Infernal. And Floophead is also a pretty well-known from the Discord. I don't think he streams, but he plays in tournaments. And likes to contribute his opinions on the state of the game. And he's got colorful opinions, so check out those opinions on the Discord. So far, Dutchy's been going with what I've seen in tank as being a kind of common build opening, where your first building's maybe up on the high ground, your second one, and in his case, is a conclave on the low ground after lumberjacking down some of these trees. And Floophead has opened with a conclave right in his base with a little bit of a block. And I don't see him with a second base. So he has an imp here that looks like he's trying to get ready to put down a shrine. And he's been creeping. He started creeping from the high ground and is now creeping on the low ground. I think that's to preserve his fiends. Because if you use skulls from the high ground, and then have the fiend appear, the shadow massives that are normally kind of glitched out there on the low ground will attack your fiend, and then you just lose your fiend. It's kind of a waste of your energy. The speed camp over here has been taken out, and it looks like 5 fiends. That's because a brute was used here as well. So more fiends, but waiting to get a couple more gaunts, and then getting actually a pretty good surround. Floophead staying to fight, maybe was macroing for a second there and unfortunately lost his whole army. That's actually not a great start, but is retreating these gaunts back. The speedy legs on Dutchy's gaunts allow him to catch up. Now another skull, so one gaunt goes down, but there is a well-positioned farm here. And I think that was part of what Floophead's initial build was. This farm went down early as part of a defensive build for this early shrine. But losing his Hexen and a couple Gaunts there, as well as those Fiends, puts him behind, and now Dutchy is creeping his health camp, which is an aggressive play that I know he's been trying out different builds lately, partly influenced by some of the coaching he's got on his stream. I think it was Snowdrop on his stream giving him some advice here. And so he comes and cleans out this camp, and it looks like he's going to march away and not do aggressive up the ramp. This farm is actually kind of nasty. There's 3 fell hogs there. They're just sort of temporary units, but they can help block in this. So even if you're trying to run by, it makes it really awkward. So fighting up that ramp is probably not a good choice, and Dutchy decides not to do that and cleans out the vision camp as well, while adding a couple more brutes. So still building army, but also with a shrine of his own. It just, Floophead's earlier shrine allows him to get his econ going, and he's used that to turn out a small force of Gaunts with their own lightning legs, coming up here and getting that fiend, which I guess was just an early scout for this army. And I see 7 Gaunts from Floophead, and not quite so many from Dutchy. Actually, we now have 6 showing up. It's the extra brutes that are a little dangerous, and is probably why Floophead chose to retreat here. Floophead's going for a quick third, so trying to capitalize on that econ advantage at the beginning to just get even more eco. It's still kind of greedy, a little risky, especially knowing that Dutchy has a pretty big army out there. We're still at 7 Gaunts here, actually, and now we see 4 more, so we're up to 11. And Dutchy does send in a Fiend to scout this out. And where's this? There's another Fiend capturing. And it looks like another just Scout Fiend over here. But Dutchy's returning back to his own base, or at least to his speed camp. Yeah, he's returning back, despite getting some info about a third going down as well. It looks like actually Dutchy's third is just slightly ahead of this one. And maybe that's why he retreated back, knowing that, hey, I'm a little bit ahead in terms of getting mine down. I was just checking the worker count here. If you don't click on the buildings, at least in the observer AI, it doesn't give you an accurate count. But once I've selected Dutchy's buildings, I will be able to see that. Here's something that's interesting. We've got our Greater Shrine upgrade on the way. Both of them did eco first. And yeah, we've got our Plague Axes also on the way. And pardon me for that little bug there. So Dutchy's still staying at home, possibly just trying to be a little defensive while he's waiting for his upgrades to finish. Maybe looking for a timing. And Floophead has got a bunch of gaunts to follow up his early game. Now, he did fall behind in the early game with that losing his Hexen, which could be quite devastating, but there was not a follow-up aggression from Dutchy, meaning that he's had an opportunity to stabilize now. And actually, when we look at the supplies, they're very close, so they're kind of neck and neck. And it looks like a couple more Conclave here. Here's something interesting. We're seeing a Ritual Chamber just going down now, so the tech is a little bit behind for these gaunts. And for a heavy gaunt build, I wonder if that was maybe a mistake for Floophead. Normally, if you're planning to go this heavy gaunts, you're gonna put that down a little bit earlier and try and get that upgrade started. Now let's take a look. Is Floophead not on tier? No, he must have. Oh, this is a Greater Shrine. Sorry, it looked a little different. That's because we had the upgrade visual here first, and now once upgraded, it looks a little bit different. So that's a Greater Shrine for both of them, meaning that even though these upgrades were delayed, that the Plague Axe is actually pretty quick, and once you get it down, he can catch up with his sorry, I've drawn a blank on the second gaunt upgrade now. The speedy one. The speedy legs. We'll call it speedy legs for right now. Some fiends here in a defensive position for this tower. But yeah, seeing that many gaunts show up, decide to back up. Reaper's Rush. Boom, it happened. It re-entered my brain. There we go. Now, ooh, Nightfall Infestation going down for both of them, but a really good hit for Floophead on all of these units here. Nonetheless, we still don't have Plague Axes for Floophead, and this is actually an advantageous timing for Dutchy. His Reaper's Rush is still not done. I assume it's probably on the way. And Floophead had gone for a kind of a double expand here. This one in a more defensive position, but this one is now, yeah, forced to cancel. And Floophead, yeah, trying to stay defensive. And for the moment, taking the healing camp, hopefully trying to clear it up before this gets finished, or sorry, before this army arrives, but not quite. There's still a few units here, and it looks like these gaunts are going to try and scoop it, but there were fiends there, hard to say. And the units from Dutchy, it's gaunt on gaunt here. We see infests on both sides. We see a Nightfall Infestation going down for Floophead. Do we see another one going down for Dutchy? We do not. And instead, his gaunts are going to focus fire that Shroudstone down. We now see a single Magmadon showing up for Dutchy, and a couple Weavers pop out. Now they're going to grab that and focus fire it down. And another Lash goes down before it's able to get away. But we see all these gaunts just pushing forward on top of Floophead's army. The gaunts of Floophead retreat so that they're not kind of focus fire down and turn into a bunch of fiends. Instead, the Weavers are doing the tanking. Floophead's Gaunts pull forward, try to get their own fiends going, but a single brute has showed up. I didn't see where he came from. It's like he just popped out of nowhere to move to the front of the army and do a little tanking himself. And both armies retreat. We have Dutchy's army sitting in the healing camp just for a bit of a regroup. And Floophead's actually moving out. Now I wonder what that's about. Is he going to be doing some aggression of his own? He probably doesn't know that Dutchy is still right on his doorstep. And Dutchy is moving back in. Takes out that Shroud Stone, starts killing some Fell Hogs. It's a good idea in a situation like this to just go for the farm. If you're not on A move, you might just be on A move and macroing. You have enough DPS to just take out the farm and then all of the hogs go down. Now, Floophead's army is unfortunately in an awkward position, having to come around from behind and not fully on Shroud, meaning not getting the benefits of the Shroud Skin regen, and then also not getting the Plague Axe benefit. And there's just so many Gaunts here now from Dutchy, and he's right up in the base. Even though there's going to be a hard retreat from him, there's just not any army to need to retreat from. These final Gaunts are going down, and we get an insane skill from Floophead. I'm going to assume that's a GG.